Hey guys, it's your boy 14 Fluffies here, and I have my deck profile for my heroes for this new format, so let's get right into this. Okay. Starting off, we still have 3 Shadow Mist. No point of explaining that, this is an obligatory 3 of. Still 2 Neos Alias. 2 Blaze Man, which is still the MVP of the deck. 2 Bubble Man, because running 3 always clogs. 1 Goblinberg, which is something new I'm trying out. 1 Summoner Monk, and the 1 BLS. BLS is actually, in hindsight now, is a big MVP, because I'm starting to play in Cimoooooo's Yugituber Grand Championship Autumn Qualifier. Round 1, BLS was so clutch. But I'll talk about that matchup after I'm done with the profile. On to the spells. We got 3 Emergency Call. And to go along with the Emergency Call, we got the 1 Rhoda. Yeah, and these are secrets. I'm really glad I have them. Then, the 3 Mass Change. 2 Form Change. Form Change also was really clutch, too, in my matchups. But, yeah, 2 Poly. Still playing 2 Poly because I always want to maximize my value with Blaze Man. Still playing the 2 Fusion Recovery. For some reason, I really liked this card, and it's stuck, and I'm going to probably keep playing it for the foreseeable future. For the rest of the 1-ofs, the Mass Charge, the Miracle Fusion, and the Regeki. And that will line up these spells. And for the traps, the traps are a little bit different, and they're probably going to be changing a lot more in the future because of how the format is shaping up. Still, Recall the Haunted. This will always be here. This will probably never change because this is probably because out of all the traps in my deck, these are the only traps that this will be the only trap that'll be universally good that I won't be siding out for every matchup basically. I finally got the 3 Fiendish Chain. Only just for the format to turn out to be really bad for targeting cards, so they're not really that good anymore. 2 Mirror Force. This card isn't really that good anymore thanks to Magispector, but against Cosmo it's decent as long as you have something to keep the ships from floating. But other than that, it's just like, it's alright, really, against this format. It's not good, but it's not bad, really. And for the 1-ofs, the 1 Bottomless, Evac, Torrential, and Ring. The Ring and the Evac I really think I should drop, just because they're not good against Cosmo. Magispector doesn't do anything against. Really, their cards I think I'm probably going to replace these with a Vanities and a Warning, but I don't have those cards, so it'll be something to wait for in the future, and that wraps up the main deck. Oh, there's a call of content. That wraps up the main deck. For the extra deck, for the fusions, we still have the 1 Contrast Hero. He is actually really good, and it turns out I can actually make him a lot more often than I think I can. But I'll explain why later. 1 Anki, the 1 Anki. The new addition here, which is my favorite, we got the 1 Elemental Hero Nova Master. I love this card. Oh my god. This plus Darklaw is the most devious duo in the deck, because he makes you go plus every turn, and Darklaw makes your opponent go minus every turn. It's just so good. It makes Blaze Man just that much better of a card, especially since you can immediately go into Nova Master if you have any other hero in hand, because you can just search the Poly with Blaze Man. But yeah. Next off, 1 Shining. He's also really clutch, too, against Cosmo, because if you banish 2 with Miracle Fusion, he is 3200 and pretty much swings over everything in the deck. I'll explain a little bit more about why he was so good in my Cosmo matchup, when I discuss about my matchups for Cimoooooo's event so far. 1 Acid. Still a really good card, potentially really good on paper against Cosmo, too, because you can weaken your opponent's monsters with it, and, nuke their cards. It's even if you just have to nuke even if you're only nuking a Cosmo town, it won't really matter because you're still weakening their monsters. So it's not going to be that great by itself against Dark Destroyer necessarily, but if you hit a Forerunner with this, you could potentially run it over. And then just from there on out, it's just like they're going to have monsters that can't really answer acid unless they have like Honest or Limiter or any other sort of a way of augmenting their attack. One Ab-Zero. This card's also really good on paper against Cosmo as long as you can like back it up with Dweller or something. I don't know. Like a Dweller plus an Ab-Zero is really formidable, especially if you have a Bubble Man under the Dweller. But that's just my thought, at least. One Koga. This card's godlike against Cosmo as well. Just because he gets huge, really. Like, if your opponent this card point for points with Dark Destroyer just because Dark Destroyer is on the field. And if they have any other monster on the field, it's bigger than Dark Destroyer, and you can just run it over. Okay, and for the last two fusions, we have the 2 Dark Law. And that will wrap up the fusions. For the Exceeds, the Exceed lineup is still really standard. I kind of want to change a few things about it. Maybe drop a few things, but we'll see. Still one Dark Rebellion. I still think this card's a staple most of the time. One Excalibur. This card's also really clutch against Cosmo because it also lets you swing over Dark Destroyer if you have no other options. Castel for spinning Cosmo Town. Dweller, because Dweller is Dweller, and it's a staple, especially with Norden being a card. The one Rongomanyad, but I really would just refer to it as the card I wish was a Fortress Dragon, because really I kind of need to get my hands on one. Especially with the way my deck is built now, I can't really exceed as much as I used to. So this card is pretty much useless to me now in my efforts, but I could replace it with a Norden if I get some instant fusions, but I really would just prefer this to be a Fortress Dragon for the Cosmo matchup because I have my playset of Cyber Dragons. Yeah, and for the last succeed, we have the Rhapsody and Berserk. And that wraps up the extra deck. For the side deck, I've done a lot of changing to this. This is very much so tailored for the format. First off, the 3 MST. This isn't really tailored for the format. I just don't like maining MST. That's just my thing. I like maining the fusion recoveries and the extra poly and stuff like that, so I can maintain a better grind game, but yeah, I definitely side these in against Magispector, just because all my traps except Call of the Haunted are dead against that deck. But yeah. Next off, we got 2 copies of my body as a shield. This may be a bit of a joke to some people, but I heard this card was really good against Dark Destroyer. But it covers multiple matchups, and it also covers many stable cards. Like, this card against Fluffles is amazing because it stops Tiger. It also it's really good against the staple mass destruction cards that people max out on, like Cosmo are a deck that max out on Dark Hole and Raigeki, same thing with Fluffles. And not to mention they also have cards that have inherent destruction built into them, like Tiger and Dark Destroyer. And not to mention they also probably play things like Torrential, maybe even Needle Sealing or Bottomless. This card just stops all of those things. It's in just for 1,500 life points, so it's really nice. Next up, 2 Kaiser Coliseum. This is never going to change, especially considering how Magispectors are a thing and how Pendulum decks are a thing. This card really stops Pendulum decks. Next off, for the traps, still 3 Mind Crush. I almost want to main these because of the Magispector matchup, and also because Cosmo Town is a bitch to deal with, because if you blow it up, it replaces itself, yada yada. I mean, I never really want to Mind Crush a Cosmo Town. I more or less just want to Mind Crush the stuff they get back with it. And maybe the stuff that they reveal from Cosmo Town so that they can't get as many draws. But yeah, Mind Crush has a myriad of uses. My best use for this is just in Magispectors when they go to search. I activate Dark Law's effect and then I'll just chain Mind Crush, so that way I can guarantee to hit the card I want out of their hand as well as getting that other free card from Dark Law. It's just a thought. I mean, I've yet to be matched against Magispector, but yeah. But Cosmo is my biggest and hardest matchup so far. Next up, 3 Waboku. This is tailor-made just for Cosmo, just because, well, I don't want to die from a farm girl, and this card just prevents that shit from happening. Yeah. And next up, the final 2 cards. This is tailor-made for Magispector and Cosmo, weirdly enough, and it's a tech card on the level of like Storming Mirror Force or Time Space Trapple, really. It really just hits everything good this beta. And that is 2 Memory Loss. The thing that makes this card so great is that it doesn't target, and it negates effects. It's non-targeting effect negation, and it switches the monster to defense mode. And so it's godlike against Dark Destroyer. if you have your Dark Claw out and they drop their Dark Destroyer and you hit them with this, you could pretty much beat them if they don't have Cosmo Town, because your turn would pass around. You can get your Dark Claw. Your turn would pass around. You'd have your Dark Claw on board, and you could just attack over their Dark Destroyer, and it won't float because the Dark Destroyer won't float because Dark Claw banishes it. It will never hit the graveyard to banish itself. Okay, and that wraps up the extra deck. And now I think I'll discuss the matchups I had for SEMA's event. Round 1, I was actually matched up against Fluffles. Oh yeah, and I wasn't... The main and extra deck are pretty much the same. I wasn't able to really update my side deck, and I'm kind of regretting that now in hindsight, but... Yeah, Round 1, I was matched against Fluffles. It wasn't very difficult, actually. Game 1, I actually... I started first. I opened with Monk, and I opened with Summoner Monk. Oh, hold on. I opened Summoner Monk, and let's see. I opened up with Summoner Monk, and double E-Call, and a bunch of other cards I don't remember, but yeah, I pretty much used Summoner Monk, activated its effect, pitched one of the E-Calls. I got my Shadow Mist. Got my Mass Change, and I'm pretty sure that I E-Called for a Blaze Man, like I always do. And then I set my Mass Change, and then set other back row, and then my opponent's turn came around. They activated Fluffle Bear, which surprised me. It was just like, what the fuck? It's weirdly enough, I couldn't actually Dark Claw that, but I couldn't Dark Claw Fluffle Bear, but I still chained the Mass Change to Fluffle Bear just because I don't want to get wrecked by a potential sacking of a Fluffle Dog off of Toy Vendor, because that does happen. So yeah, I got my Dark Claw out. I believe the search I got off Shadow Mist then was Aeneas Alias. So my hand was looking like this, plus I think I had other back row and stuff like that. And just like and my opponent was eventually able to work around the Dark Claw that turn, but they had to go super minus with it. Like, they had to make a Frightfur Tiger with 2 materials. My Dark Claw and my Monk got popped. Actually, no, wait, hold on. I don't really remember, but it took a while for them to work around this, and they had to go super minus. So by the time my turn rolled around, my opponent only had 1 card in hand. So it was really easy just to go, okay, Blaze Man, add Poly. Blaze Man, add Poly. Activate the Poly. Send Alias. Blaze Man to grave. Summon Nova Master. Summon Nova Master, attack over the Tiger, and then get free pluses from there on out. I don't think I had to actually make a second Dark Claw that entire game. It's just like Nova Master and Koga did most of the work for that matchup. Game 2, though, was much closer because I actually got hit by a Frightfur Tiger with 5 materials, and my field got nuked. Thank God I actually had Form Change because I had a Nova Master out, and I Form Changed my Nova Master into Koga, and that's really what saved my ass because not only did I put my Nova Master back in the extra deck to use later potentially, but I also had a Koga on the field still because the monsters dodged the targeting effects of Tiger. So yeah, it was kind of it was next level, and I'm definitely going to be carrying, and I definitely carried that on with my future matchups in the event so far. Round 2, I won by default. I would have been matched against Cosmo, but my opponent had to drop from the event. It was unfortunate. I'm pretty sure I would have lost anyway, but because it's Cosmo, and Heroes have an absolutely horrendous Cosmo matchup. It's not even funny. Like, I would almost just auto-scoop for that entire matchup, but, you know, I wanted to be a good sport, and, you know, test and see how well my thought-up stratagem against Cosmo would be. Especially, the tactic of form changing all my monsters out when they try to target them with Dark Destroyer, stuff like that. It did kind of work game 1 for my third matchup, which was also Cosmo. Like, fuck, I got matched against Cosmo twice in a row. This is ridiculous, but, yeah, let's see. Game 1 was really close, but I still ended up losing because of Dark Destroyer, of course. And, well, actually, it's because my Blazeman got Mind Crushed, and I was really surprised that someone actually main decked Mind Crush. I mean, it's still a really good card, but it's like, I wouldn't have expected a Mind Crush in the main deck, but that's just me. How the game went. I went first, obviously, not knowing it was a Cosmo. I started off with a Blazeman, dumped Shadow Mist, searched another Blazeman, I said a Fiendish Chain and 2 Call the Haunted. My opponent started off their turn with a blind MST. They hit one of my Call the Haunteds, and I'm just like, well, just don't hit the Fiendish Chain, please. Yeah, and all that stuff's good. They summoned Wicked Witch, and they asked if the summon was good. I immediately Fiendish Chained it, just because I wanted to bait out the summon. Because I wanted to bait out their Dark Destroyer, just because, you know, I wouldn't want, if they're gonna drop Dark Destroyer, I would want them to kill a card I wouldn't care about. Like my Blazeman. Like, the Blazeman can die, just don't Dark Destroyer a Dark Law. But yeah, they just, after I Fiendish Chained the Good Witch, they just passed, and end phase I went Call the Haunted for Shadow Mist. I got my Mash Change, next turn came around, I drew a second Mash Change, for some, I was thinking, I summoned another Blazeman, and then I searched Poly off of it, and for some reason my opponent chained Max C to it, and my response was, chain Max C when I'm about to summon Dark Law? Seriously, bruh? And he was just like, yeah, not the best idea. But yeah, and it kind of put me in a really good spot because I summoned my Dark Law. I immediately sniped a card out of his hand. It was a Forerunner. The only thing that really sucked about it is that he had Cosmotown on it. So he had Cosmotown active on the field. However, on the summon of Dark Law, he chained Wicked Witch's effect and summoned Dark Destroyer from his hand and targeted my Dark Law. And what I immediately did was chained my second Mash Change, sent my Dark Law to the graveyard for a second Dark Law. So that way it dodged the targeting effect. And he drew another card, which means I could snipe out another card, and I hit a Dark Hole. So yeah, that was a really good card to hit. Actually, the first card I hit with my first Dark Law was a Forerunner, by the way. Not very relevant, considering that if I killed the Dark Destroyer, he would just get the Dark Destroyer back with Cosmotown, which is unfortunate. But that's just how the matchup works. I did actually manage to get over the Dark Destroyer, and I put my opponent in a very bad position for a second, because I overlaid my 2 Blazemen for Excalibur, I detached and then swung over the Dark Destroyer. And I just did that, and then I passed. Next turn, he was able to get around the Dark Law with the second Dark Destroyer. He summoned the Dark Destroyer and then, of course, popped the Excalibur, because if he didn't, that would just be stupid, because he wouldn't be able to kill it otherwise. He popped the Excalibur, killed Dark Law, and then passed. And then my turn came around, I drew Miracle Fusion, which is really nice, but at that point, I summoned my Neos Alias that I had in hand, I Miracle Fusioned it, I banished it and a Blazeman from my graveyard for Shining, and my opponent was actually kind of at a loss for what to do for a second, because it's just like, oh crap, what do I do about this thing? He was thinking, like, and then eventually he just Breakthrough Skilled it, and I passed because my Shining couldn't attack over it. He actually told me that he had a Skill Drain set, and I'm like, what, you play Skill Drain in Cosmos? Seriously? He said that was... I understand that it doesn't really hurt the ships all that much after they get their effects off, but I wouldn't play Skill Drain in Cosmo. That seems really counterproductive. Okay, next turn came around, he banished his Breakthrough skill. He put my Shining back to 26. He had to run it over with Dark Destroyer, which means I got my 2 cards back. So I could potentially make more plays, but then my turn came around and then he Mind Crushed Blazeman, and that was a wrap. In game 2, I just got OTK'd, just horribly, because he summoned his Dark Destroyer, and then I Wabaku'd on summon, and then he flipped Decree, and then I cried. Yeah, and I had like 4 back row. Like, I opened up with no plays. Like, I opened up with a Chaos Trap Hole, Torrential, Fiendish Chain, Wabaku, Mash Change, and Fusion Recovery, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I set 4. He did his Wicked Witch. He made Dark Destroyer, I chained Wabaku, he chained Decree, and I'm like, okay, I scoop. He didn't, my opponent said he never saw a single E-Telly or a single Farm Girl both games, and I'm like, really? That's kind of hard to believe. Yeah. So out of 3 matches, I am currently X-2. Most likely I will be making it to round 4. I really hope to make it to a feature match. I'm really enjoying this event so far. Yeah. Hopefully I can get Capital G to come commentate over one of my matches. Hopefully we can figure it out. I would have gotten Capital G to commentate last round, but the only thing is that my opponent wasn't. The only time my opponent would have been available to do that duel was last night, and I kind of needed time to help. I needed time to coordinate with Capital G, since the only way to get in touch with him is over stream. So yeah, but it is what it is. I'll try to see if I can get him for next round, though. It's not the end of the world, really. I mean, my goal for Cimoooooooo's event, I don't plan on winning, considering that the entire deck is at this rate flooded with Cosmo and Magispector. I mean, there are a few rogue matchups. Like, I think I'm pretty much one of the only hero players, though. And I'm pretty sure that I'd like to make it to a top 16, though. That's my goal for this event, to either make it to a feature match or make it to top 16. Winning the event is not my goal. It would be nice, because I'd like to play in the Yugituber Grand Championship, but if I can't, it's not the end of the world. It's a great experience for me, because it helps me with determining how to side for this new format. Yeah, and stuff like that. I've genuinely had a good time. So, even if I win or lose, it'll be a great experience for me. So, yeah, that'll be it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.